Okay, this is part 2 of the satellite space mission. The Magic School Bus rides again. And remember what happened in the first 4 chapters? We've read 4 chapters. What happened is that Mrs. Frizzle's class is up in space trying to repair a satellite, and they're just getting ready to get in their space pods to go out and repair it. The satellite is going to be used to broadcast a soccer game that the class is playing in. So we've read 4 chapters, and here is chapter 5. It says, slow until you know. Slow until you know. Okay, that tells you be cautious until you know what you're doing. Ms. Frizzle floated to the back of the bus and entered a code on a keypad. A secret door slid open to reveal a row of brand new bright yellow space pods. Cool, the kids cried. Space pods, there they are. Those are the space pods. This isn't in color here, but you can see on the cover. Cool, the kids cried. Now, they take some getting used to, Ms. Frizzle explained. So, go slow until you know how to handle it. And there's one thing to keep in mind. But Keisha wasn't listening. She was looking out the window. This is a perfect spot for my picture, she whispered. Meanwhile, Ms. Frizzle was giving the class important instructions. Okay, and Keisha's not listening because she wants to have her picture taken for her application to space summer camp because she wants to be an astronaut. But Keisha's not listening. She's looking for a photo opportunity. So she's going to miss out on some information, I'll bet you. See this glowing button? She pointed to a special button on the space pod. Now, listen carefully. Okay, Ms. Frizzle is saying, see this glowing button? Listen carefully. But Keisha was busy daydreaming. I wonder what astronaut camp will be like, she thought. Maybe I'll get to meet super famous astronaut Kelly K. Kuiper. Keisha squealed out loud in excitement, just thinking about it. So, whatever you do, don't push the button, Ms. Frizzle warned. Got it, everyone replied except Keisha. She hadn't heard a word of Ms. Frizzle's instructions. I bet you know what's going to happen next. I bet Keisha's going to push the button. Arnold nervously climbed into a space pod, and the other kids followed. They put on special headsets that allowed them to talk to Ms. Frizzle and one another. Then they drove their pods out of the bus and into space. Let's do a total system check of the satellite, Jody said as she moved her pod closer to the broken device. No physical damage that I can see, Wanda said as she floated around to the other side of the satellite. All of the blinky lights look nice and blinky, Tim confirmed. Jody noticed that Keisha's pod was far away from the rest of the class. Keisha, she called, we could use your help over here. What are you doing? I'm getting an even better photo for my application, Keisha replied. This is the perfect spot. Keisha pulled a lever and stepped on the gas to make her pod move forward. But instead, she flipped upside down. Whoa, Keisha cried. She steadied the pod. Like the Frizz said, go slow until you know, Jody reminded her. Don't worry, I can do this, she said confidently. I'm practically an astronaut, remember? There's Keisha. She looks pretty confident, doesn't she? Maybe she's too confident because she wasn't listening. So she doesn't know. Okay, but don't forget that glowing button is, Arnold began, but Keisha cut him off. Emergency stop, she said quickly. Got it. Oh, that looks perfect over there. Bye-bye. Oh, so Keisha thinks the glowing button is for an emergency stop. I bet she's not right. So she's going over for a different place for her picture. Keisha zoomed off in her pod. She was determined to get the best photo possible for her application. Uh-oh, Arnold muttered. Did Keisha just say she thinks the glowing button means stop? Jody asked. Yes, Tim groaned, but it's really maximum zoom. Oh my gosh, the opposite of stop. Tim flew after Keisha, who was fiddling with her tablet and posing for her picture. Keisha, listen, Tim said through his headset. This is important. Tim, Keisha cut him off. You're in my picture. So Tim's trying to tell her, but she cut him off. She zoomed away from him. Carlos tried next. Keish, we just want to make sure, Carlos began, but Keisha interrupted again. Ugh, she groaned. The sooner you all get out of the way, the sooner I'll get this picture. Keisha quickly pushed a few buttons, trying to move away from her friend so she could get the perfect shot. But instead, her space pod started spinning fast. Spinning. Brrr. Ah, she cried. How do I stop this thing? Uh-oh, Jody said nervously. I just hope she doesn't push maximum zoom, the other kids all shouted. But that is exactly what Keisha did. She pushed the maximum zoom button. Oh no. Chapter 6, Maximum Zoom. Keisha's space pod, get a little closer here. Keisha's space pod zipped through space, picking up speed as it went. Congratulations, a robotic voice said inside the pod. You have reached maximum zoom. You are in low Earth orbit, passing the International Space Station and the Hubble telescope. Next, you'll be headed straight for a weather FrizSat. FrizSat, that's a satellite, a weather satellite. Oh no, Keisha cried as her space pod flew faster and faster. I'm going to hit it. Oh, she's headed right for a space satellite. Stand by for safety pillows, the voice continued. Safety pillows? Keisha gasped. What are safety pillows? It looks kind of like a safety device. It comes up so that if you hit something, you have a soft pillow to brace yourself on. A second later, a robotic arm with a pillow on it smacked her in the face. Oof! Keisha cried. When her space pod crashed into the satellite. Wham! The space pod whirled and twirled through space, bouncing from one satellite to the next. Smash, crash. You are now in medium Earth orbit, the computer continued. You are heading for a radio FrizSat. Bang! Ah, Keisha cried. Help, I'm wrecking all the satellites. Keisha's space pod continued to bounce from one orbit to the next, knocking out satellite after satellite. Meanwhile, the other kids had flown their space pods back to the bus for help. Hang on, Keisha, her friends cried. Ms. Frizzle pressed a few buttons and a robotic arm extended from the bus and grabbed Keisha's pod out of mid-space and scooped her back onto the bus. So, the glowing button wasn't the emergency stop, huh? Keisha asked. She looked down at the floor. Nope, Ms. Frizzle replied. But the good news is that not many fifth graders have gone at maximum zoom through all the Earth's orbit. That's going to look great on your application. You sure you're okay, Keish? Jody asked. I am, Keisha replied, but I'm not sure about all those satellites. She ran into a bunch of satellites. Well, I am, the Frizz said matter-of-factly. The FrizSats were destroyed. The kids groaned. All of them? Tim asked. Yep, Ms. Frizzle replied. I'm afraid every FrizSat in every orbit got knocked off its path. Let me guess, Dorothy Ann said as she tapped away on her tablet. Not only is the soccer game satellite down, but so is everything else. Not everything else, the Frizz replied, just the Frizz network. What does that include? Wanda asked. The Frizz satellite network. It includes FrizzCom, that's communication, FrizzWeb, that would be for the internet, Frizz GPS, that's your GPS location system, Frizz Radio, Frizz Weather Station, Frizz Science Research, Frizz Space Telescope, and Frizz Cat Videos. Ms. Frizzle rattled off the list with a shrug. Other than that, we're all good. Frizz space is officially broken, Keisha cried, and it's all my fault because she didn't listen. Chapter 7. Chapter 7. Assembly required. Can you see this picture? Here we go. Assembly required. Keisha floated over to Ms. Frizzle. Is there any way to fix those frizz sats? She asked. They can't really be fixed, explained the Frizz. They'll need to be completely replaced. The kids groaned again. According to my research, satellites take years to make and cost millions of dollars, Dorothy Ann said as she pulled up a screen on her tablet. What are we going to do? Well, luckily, I have a cousin in the satellite business, Ms. Frizzle replied, smiling. Really? Ralphie asked. No way. Of course you do, Arnold joked. So now they got to replace all these satellites, and it takes a lot of time and money, but Ms. Frizzle says she has a cousin in the satellite business. They think she's joking. Okay, hold on a second. I got to take my jacket off because I'm a little warm. Hang on, hold on. Right back. You recognize these pictures, girls? I know they're always in the background. You see that? Those are from your mommy and your daddy. When you guys went over to Africa, they asked me to hold on to them for a while you were in Africa. So maybe if you come back some point, you can get those pictures back. I really like those paintings. I don't know if you remember seeing those before. Okay, got my jacket off. Yeah, let me get back to the reading here. Here we go. Gotta reach out for this. Okay, where were we now? Here we go. Ms. Frizzle, so they've got to replace the satellites. Ms. Frizzle punched a few buttons on the dashboard, and suddenly there was a delivery for the Magic School Bus. 7 big boxes appeared for each student. That's one for each student, I think. Cool, Carlos said as he grabbed a box and opened it up. Metal pieces, screws, and tools all floated out. Huh? This doesn't look like a satellite. Well, there is some assembly required, said the Frizz. The kids quickly got to work. Let me see the bottom of this. I'm going to adjust this. Make sure you can see the bottom of this. Okay. The kids quickly got to work building their satellites. Once the satellites were ready to go, the kids headed for the door. All right, the Frizz shooed them out of the bus. You get out there and put the Frizz back in Frizz satellite. So they're going to put these new satellites in orbit now. She means put the satellites back in orbit, Wanda explained. I can stay on the bus and check out the links to make sure that the satellites are working again. So they're all going out and they're fine-tuning their satellites and putting them in the correct orbits. They have to be in exactly the right orbit to work. Got it, Keisha replied. Let's go. That means exactly the right distance from Earth, going in the right direction at the correct speed. All of those things have to be right if they're going to be in the right orbit. Okay, so Keisha says, got it, let's go. The other kids followed Keisha back out into space with their satellites. Once everything was in place, Keisha gave Wanda a thumbs up through the window. Okay, everyone, Wanda instructed through her headset, turn on your satellites. Keisha looked at hers nervously. The last time she had pressed a button, it had not gone so well. She took a deep breath. Here goes, she said, pushing the green power button. A moment later, all of the lights on the satellite were blinking. All the blinky blinkies are blinking. Wanda, Keisha asked, are the satellites communicating with Earth like they're supposed to? Not yet, Wanda replied as she studied the computer screen. Something's not right. Wait, Keisha said thoughtfully. When the original FrizzSats got smashed, they weren't just in one orbit. I zoomed all over the place. Okay, so they realize they're not in the right orbits. How could we forget, Ralphie joked. That means we have to find the right orbits for our new FrizzSats, Keisha said. Yeah, but how do we do that, Tim asked, puzzled. Well, What better way to find the right home for a satellite than to become a satellite? The Friz asked. I wonder what that means. Oh boy, Arnold groaned. I knew I should have stayed on Earth today. They're going to become satellites. That means they're going to go around the Earth like a satellite would. Chapter 8, FrizSats to KidSats. FrizSats, that's mean a Friz satellite. A second later, there was a flash of light, and the kids found themselves inside the machines they had just built. Okay, so they suddenly got transported inside the satellites. So now they're floating around with the satellites. Wow, Ralphie cried. This is so cool, Dorothy Ann marveled. But Ms. Frizzle, Arnold asked, how will we know when we're in the right orbit? Trust me, Arnold, Ms. Frizzle said. When you feel it, you'll know. The kids zoomed through space in their satellites. So this is low Earth orbit, Tim said. We're like 200 miles away from Earth. Yep, Dorothy Ann agreed. Her satellite was nearby, or 340 kilometers. So kilometers is a different way to measure. So 200 miles equals 340 kilometers. Tim's satellite began to blink. Look, Dorothy Ann said, you're getting a signal. Okay, so it's blinking. They got to the right location and speed and direction, and so now his satellite's blinking and it's in the right orbit. Cool, Tim said as pictures of Earth popped up on his screen. That explains why my cameras are pointed down. Awesome, Dorothy Ann replied. My cameras are pointed the other way, out into space. I'm an astronomy satellite. Looks like I'm taking pictures of the universe and sending them back to scientists on Earth. Meanwhile, Jody, Arnold, and Carlos were in medium Earth orbit. That's about 12,500 miles or 20,000 kilometers above Earth. Hey, is anyone getting anything? Jody asked. Arnold's satellite crackled with static. Then a map appeared clearly on his screen. I am, he said happily. I'm a GPS, FrizSat. I can help with maps and directions on Earth. Me too, Carlos shouted as a map appeared on his screen. Finally, Jody's static cleared. Me three, she cried. It looks like we're working together as navigation satellites in medium Earth orbit. I didn't know that. So navigation satellites, they work in medium Earth orbit, and you get these signals and they tell you where you're located in your car or wherever you are. It's very helpful, GPS. Great job, Ms. Frizzle said from the bus. How is it going up in geosynchronous orbit? Geosynchronous orbit. See that big word there? That's geosynchronous. How's it going up? How's it going up in geosynchronous orbit, Ralphie? So that means a type of orbit. Geo means Earth, synchronous, geosynchronous orbit. So they're synchronized in their orbiting of Earth. Wanda asked as she scanned her computer screen, you're currently in an orbit that matches Earth's rotation exactly. So if it's going around the Earth at the same speed as the Earth is spinning, that means it stays over the same spot. That's what geosynchronous orbit means. It's a satellite that stays over the same spot because it's going around at the same speed the Earth is. It's great, Ralphie said. His favorite pop song had just started playing. I think I'm getting signals from a radio station on Earth. It looks like every satellite is in the right orbit. They all connect back to Earth with a strong signal, said Wanda. Excellent, said the Fritz as she peered over Wanda's shoulder. Is that everyone? Almost, Wanda said as she studied her screen. Everything on Earth is working except the video of the soccer game. So that must be Keisha. Keisha, where are you? Where are you, Keisha? Yes, Keisha replied. Does that mean I'm not getting any signals? It doesn't look like it, said Wanda from the bus. Oh no, Keisha moaned. Don't tell me I'm causing problems again. There's Keisha, she's up in space. Okay, chapter 9. This may be the last chapter. We're coming to the conclusion of the book. Okay, chapter 9, Team Frizz. Keisha zoomed from low Earth orbit to medium Earth orbit to geosynchronous orbit and back again, but all she heard was static. I'm still not getting anything, Keisha reported. She was getting frustrated. Try going a little higher, came Wanda's reply. Copy that, Keisha replied as she moved farther away from Earth. Suddenly, the static transformed into what sounded like a cheering crowd of people. Hey, I think I'm getting something. Back on the bus, an image of a goalie in a soccer net appeared on Wanda's tablet. So it's working. They're getting the soccer game now. The soccer broadcast Wanda shouted, "It's back online. You did it, Keish." "This is so cool," Keisha said. "It's like I'm connected to the whole world." "Actually, you really are," Wanda explained. She pointed to the screen and pulled up an image of a communications signal zipping from a ground station on Earth to a FrizzSat to Keisha's satellite and back to another ground station. There's a whole network of communications satellites working together, passing signals to one another, including you. It's like we're all players in a gigantic game of space soccer, Keisha giggled. "That's exactly right," said the Frizz. "Mission accomplished. Now the FrizzSats are back in their spots. Let's get all of you back too." I bet Arnold's going to be happy about that, to get back on Earth. A few minutes later, the kids were back inside the bus. "Nice pass," Jody exclaimed as she watched the soccer game on the bus's big screen TV. "Thanks to all of you, the soccer game will be seen by everyone," Ms. Frizzle said proudly. Keisha cleared her throat. I'm sorry I wasn't a team player earlier, guys," she said. "After being a satellite, I get what it really means. It's so great to be connected and to work together. So I guess it's time for you to send in your astronaut camp application," Jody said. "Ready for your close-up?" "Okay, I'll get out of the way," Ralphie said as he floated away. "Oh no," Keisha replied. She grabbed Ralphie's arm to stop him. Then she pulled Jody closer too. "I want a picture of all of us together, my team." "Thanks, Keish," Ralphie said. Suddenly, the airlock door slid open and an unexpected guest floated on into the bus. Keisha's jaw dropped open. "Kathy K. Kuiper," she gasped. "In person, you're my favorite astronaut ever." So an astronaut knocked on the door and came in. Wow, she was just floating around up there. That must be Kathy K. Kuiper. "Wow, you're my favorite astronaut." Kathy gave the friends a friendly nod. "Hi, everyone," she said. "I was just in the neighborhood, so I thought I'd drop in and see my old pal Fiona." "Hi, Kathy," the Frizz replied warmly. See, the Frizz's first name is Fiona. So Fiona and Kathy know each other. "Hi, Kathy," the Frizz replied warmly. "To what do we owe this pleasure?" "Well, we're just opening up applications to the astronaut camp," Kathy explained. "I thought you might have a recommendation. We're looking for someone who's a real team player." Everyone turned to look at Keisha. "I think we have just the person," Ms. Frizzle replied. "In the meantime, care to join us for a team photo?" Ms. Frizzle held up her camera. "Say, space cheese," the class shouted. Then they huddled together for an out-of-this-world picture. They finally got their picture. And there it is. There's everybody floating around, and that's the picture that went with the application with the famous astronaut Kathy K. Kuiper. Okay, I think that's it. And this was this was another Magic School Bus Rides Again book. And you know where these books came from? They came from your cousins, James and Joseph. They've already read these, and now they're passing them on to me so that I can read them to you. Hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll be reading another book to you soon. Bye-bye, girls.